All right. What is good, YouTube? So this video is going to be stop wasting your potential. A lot of you don't see it this way, but you really are wasting your potential by doing a couple different things. One is the fear of failure. You guys need to see failure as a blessing, not a curse. That is the one of the biggest things holding you back right now. And I see it all the time. I was a huge victim of this as well. I used to completely have the fear of failure because I didn't want to, get made fun of. I didn't want to hurt my ego. And it just held me back as a person a lot. And I know a lot of you guys are probably making the same mistakes. So I know this video can help you a lot if you guys are struggling with a couple different things. All right, so society has honestly set you up to fail automatically. And I mean fail in the bad way, not in the good way. They train you to view failure as a negative. So I'm talking about like the school systems here. Their expectations of reality that failure should be avoided at all cost is a horrible principle to go off of. And I say that because, if you're going to school and you fail a test, then they shame you for it, right? They're like, oh, you didn't do enough preparing before, like you should have studied more. But instead, you should be looking at failure as a way to really just a learning experience, as opposed to something that is a negative. And it's okay to take the ego hit. Like, just drop your ego and expect that failure is just a minor challenge that you can learn from. It undermines your ability to grow and unlock your full potential. So if you're constantly avoiding failure, not taking any risk because you're scared of failure, then I'm sorry, you're not going to achieve the things you want to achieve. It's very unlikely. If there's no risk, there's no reward. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward is. That's why a lot of these, really successful individuals a lot of them are the craziest motherfuckers too. Like, a lot of them, they've hit rock bottom, and then they've been crazy enough to hit rock bottom. So now they're crazy enough to be on the whole other side of the spectrum. I mean, look at Wes Watson. Wes Watson is the perfect example of that. That guy was in prison for, I don't even know how, a long time. And now look at him. He's doing millions a month because he's a crazy motherfucker. I love watching Wes Watson stuff. His stuff really inspires me. But just because you're bad at something, that does not mean you shouldn't do it. Like working out, for example. If you've never been to the gym in your life and you're scared about going to the gym because of what other people will think, or that you're going to do the exercises wrong, or just look like you don't belong, everyone was there at one point. You're not going to be good at something right when you start. And that used to be something I struggled with too. Like, I could not accept being bad at anything. If I was bad at something, I just didn't do it. That was the old me. Like, if I was bad at something, I just didn't do it. Like, sales is a good example. I got into sales. I had my sales job a year ago. And before that, I was like, oh man, I'm too shy. Like, I wouldn't be good at sales. I'm not very persistent. Like, I would label myself as these things and I wouldn't even try, which was holding me back a lot. Cause I mean, a little side note, if sales is the fundamentals to almost anything in life. So I'm glad I got that skill. But so vices are completely ruining you. Once you like face a failure or any adversity, your ego is going to take a hit, right? So when your ego takes a hit, that's just going to be a lot of built up energy that you need to use towards your own progression instead of regression. Going towards vices is regression because vices drain your positive energy. Like, say if you had a bad day at work or your girlfriend broke up with you and then you go jerk off, fucking smoke weed, drink alcohol, that's only going to make your problems worse. I mean, that probably goes without saying, but it couldn't be closer to the truth. When you do some sort of vice, your brain thinks you have won when you release that dopamine. So if you really care about progressing as an individual and growing, then you have to quit porn, quit smoking weed, alcohol, or anything that doesn't positively serve you. Then you might be saying, oh, man, I'm just so lonely. Like, I just have to jerk off. Like, no shit, you're lonely. If you're watching porn, yeah, obviously that's not going to help. What do you expect is going to happen? Like, smoking weed and jerking off a lot, that releases something called prolactin, which is, I would say it's the opposite of testosterone. Not estrogen, prolactin is the opposite of testosterone. Because you get that feeling of relaxation, that you just don't really want to move, that like kind of like lethargic feeling, which is such a bad feeling to have if you're actually trying to grow as an individual. So cut your fucking vices. I promise you'll be happy you did. So the fear of failure, as I mentioned, is the number one thing holding you back. No one likes to fail. The quicker you fail, the quicker you learn. If you're in the game, then you haven't failed. You're just early. You just have to expand your time horizons. Like, if you want to lose, 30 pounds in a month, that's not really realistic, but if you don't achieve that, you'll think you'll fail, and then you might quit. But if you say you want to lose 30 pounds in a year, that just expands your time horizon, so you're just early, really. Expect to fail. Failures really build character because no one likes a success story without any struggles. Think about like superhero movies, for example. If the superhero, like the good guy, just beat the villain just on the first fight, no one's going to want to watch that movie. Like, it's going to be boring. People like to see the struggle. And most people quit after a few failures. Even most people quit actually, honestly, after one failure. And that's just going to keep you weak. People will fail once, go to vices, and they just never grow as an individual. Instead, use that failure as a time to reflect. If you only win, then you'll have nothing to reflect on. Imagine if you succeeded at everything, your ego would be through the roof and you won't think you need to learn anything else. And when you fail, you get like an awakening to reflect because your ego takes a hit and you want to get up as soon as possible because you don't like it when your ego's down. And then when you go back onto vices, your brain, that stimulates to your brain that you're no longer down. Even though those vices had absolutely nothing to do to serve you and propel you in the right direction. Failures teach you more about yourself than anything else will. I can promise you that. Like, if you just coast through life without any struggles, no failures, just no adversity, you're just going to live an average life. And, you know, maybe for some of you, that's fine. I'm not here to judge. Some people want to live an average life. You know, just working the 9 to 5, coming home, smoking weed, watching Netflix, and on the weekends go out and drink and party and just do random bullshit, which, I mean, who am I to judge, right? Like, I mean, everyone wants to live their own life. But I'm just saying, if you want to progress as an individual, become the absolute best version of yourself, and don't waste your potential, then you want to fail. You want to struggle. What you should be scared of is stopping, because you don't want to have that fear of regret. That feeling of regret, that is the worst feeling. Once you quit, you fail because you're always going to be in the game unless you quit. View it as a setback and a learning lesson to grow from. 99% of people won't take the ego hit of failing, so they never even start to begin. Which, in my opinion, if you don't even start, if you say you want to start something, like deep down in your mind, you want to start something, but you never actually do because you're scared of failing, in my opinion, you just failed off the bat because you didn't even start. You never want to look back and think you could have done more in life, or that you didn't do exactly what you wanted to do. And that kind of just goes back to not caring what other people think. Like, if you're doing things in life because other people want you to, and they're not what you want to do, that's almost as bad as fearing failure. Say, for example, you fail on doing something that someone else wanted you to do, you could place that blame on them. And I've seen it time and time again. And actually, I've done that, funny enough. This is just my opinion. I would rather fail on my own terms than be successful on someone else's terms. Because you only have one life, so you might as well just do what you want. And in my opinion, life is all about progressing and growing as an individual and learning as you go. That just builds character. The depth of your struggles determines the height of your success. There has to be a struggle before success. Your struggle is your story. Success is earned, not given. I did a typo there. A good example of this is think about people who win the lottery. People basically go from broke to millionaire overnight, and a lot of them just don't know what to do with the money. If you don't earn it, it's just going to fall between the cracks. Again, going back to that analogy of superhero movies. Everyone wants to see you struggle. Even you should see yourself struggle. Because when you finally come out on top, you'll know what you had to do to get there. That just builds so much confidence and self-worth, knowing that you were able to push through the struggles when no one else was. So whatever you want to do in life, just go all in. Take the risk. Do not hold back because you will regret it. The last thing you want to do is be sitting there on your deathbed when you're 90, 100 years old and think, man, I wish I started that business. I wish I talked to that girl. I wish I joined the gym. Don't wish you started sooner either. Like, if you're 30 years old now and you still haven't started the gym, who cares? It's not too late. Reflect now. Like, think if you would have started like a year ago, where you would be now. Like, if you continued working towards your fitness goals last New Year's, how far ahead you would be now compared to where you are to this day. Yeah, if you want to get jacked, shredded, more confident, the best time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time to start is right now. And what's that saying? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. That literally applies in life too. If you want to grow as an individual, the sooner you start, the better. The sooner you want to become the best version of yourself, the better. If you're always moving forwards, you will get there in the end. And then going back to failure. Failure, yeah, it's going to be a minor setback, but if you just bounce back, you're going to bounce back stronger, and you will get closer and closer to your goals, whatever that may be. All right, that's it for this video. It's just something I wanted to talk about because I struggled with it in the past, and I know some of you guys might be struggling with it as well. But Do not fear. Do not have the fear of failure. Drop your vices. Do not give a shit about vices. Drop your ego, and use that energy to propel you in the right direction. Because that's really what separates winners from losers. All right, guys. So I hope you found this video valuable, and hopefully it inspired you to get after it, get after your goals, because you don't want to be looking back in a year and think, "What if?" So, all right, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace.